Right, shalom, shalom. First, I'd like to give all praises unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Waharakah Kodash, and double honors unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and honors to you brothers out there in the highways and the byways, teaching this word in all sincerity and in truth. Now, um, there's a lot of animosity that's being built up towards people who are receiving welfare. And that animosity is coming from your working class people and your middle class people who are struggling but are earning enough that they don't receive these benefits, so they resent people who do. And this is because they're feeling the squeeze more and more and more and more. And of course, the majority of people that live in that particular socioeconomic strata are Edomites, and Edomites don't need too much of an excuse to hate on Jake. When they think of the poor, they think of Jake. That's why, when Jake is the face of welfare, even though there are a lot of Edomites that are on welfare. The fact of the matter is that the strata which is above is mainly Edomites, so they don't care. They just see it as this Jake down there. All right, and this socioeconomic gap between Jake and Esau is apparent. There are more Edomites going towards the middle class, upper middle class, to the elite than there will be Jake, and that's by design. All right, and now so we're in a system where the elites are enriching themselves more and more, and they're crushing the middle class, and of course, crushing everyone else that's below. And so it's easy to point the finger at certain things. It's easy to point the finger at immigrants, point the finger at people on welfare, but no one ever mentions corporate welfare, because a large portion of the wealth that these elites possess is through redistributing wealth to themselves through the government by way of corporate welfare. All right, but people won't really focus on that, because again, they see these people that's on welfare down at the bottom, they're just criminal, or they're just useless. They don't want to work, and they don't understand that the system is designed for them to be in that position. Right? This is by design. This is the system that Esau desires. And it's these guys that are ultra rich. They're not ultra rich because they work hard. They're ultra rich because they control the system. They control the government. They control the laws. So at any point, they can redistribute wealth to themselves using the government. And they do it all the time. They control the public and private levers of wealth. And this is why no matter what happens, the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. All right. And people don't seem to get it. Okay. I just wanted to point out that gulf, man. And it is a gulf. Right. This is Luke 16 and I want to get from the point. Luke 16 and 22. It says, and it came to pass that the beggar died and was carried by the angels into Abraham's bosom. The rich man also died and was buried. So that rich man really represents Esau, Edom, and the poor man, the beggar, represents Jake, because we are the beggar. In this man's system, we are at a disadvantage. We don't have the power, or Esau can just give himself money. Do you understand? On a whole different level, which they do. It's called corporate welfare. They could give themselves money. They can give themselves contracts. Like Elon Musk is as rich as he is through government contracts. This is a situation that was given to him. All right, they have a system in place that they can enrich themselves, that they can dodge tax. They can control where the money goes and the flow of money throughout the system. They control the advertising. They control the media, the social programming. All right. it's an entire system that is working together to create the situation that you see playing out. It's not necessarily a natural or organic situation, so to speak. All right, so that rich man represents Esau, Edom, because they do represent the rich. They are the mainstay of the elites, right? The trillionaires, the billionaires, right? On down to the middle class is dominated by Esau, Edom. And that's not to say they're not Edomites that are working class and also in poverty. But what you'll find is that if you look at Jake dominates the lower socioeconomic stratus of society. You will hardly find any Jakes that would be up into the billionaire, trillionaire family status. That's this. It's good luck, but you can't throw a stone among these Edomites without catching a billionaire. There's loads of them as compared to us. So they represent the rich, and we represent the poor. And that's why whenever they bring up these SNAP benefits, it sticks to Jake more than it sticks to Esau, because even though there's a lot of Edomites on these SNAP benefits, we represent proportionally a larger amount, because they would say we're a smaller population, but there's more of us on those benefits. Yeah, because of what? That's we're in America, and the oppressiveness of America is to keep us in that socio-economic state and in those socio-economic stratas, is to stop upward mobility or to control it, which is what they do. All right. It says, and in hell, right, fictional, he lifted up his eyes, being in torments, and seeing Abraham afar off and Lazarus in his bosom. And he cried and said, Father, Abraham, have mercy on me and send Lazarus, that he may dip the tip of his finger in water and cool my tongue, for I am tormented in the flame. So this represents the future. In the future, the next world to come, the roles are going to be reversed, right? The rich man is going to be us, and Esau, Edom is going to be the Lazarus, meaning they're going to be suffering, right? And he cried, But Abraham says, Son, remember that thou in thy lifetime receivest thy good things. And that's this side of the world. On this side of the world, Esau, Edom has received his good things. They have enjoyed themselves. That's why you go back to the boomers, right? The boomers were doing great. Esau, Edom were doing very well for themselves. I'm talking about not just the elite, just the average Edomite was doing very well, right? They had the luxuries that most people in the world just didn't have, right? That thou in thy lifetime receivest thy good things, and likewise Lazarus evil things, all right? But now he is comforted, and thou art tormented. And beside all this, between us and you there is a great gulf, so that they which would pass from hence to you cannot, neither can they pass to us that would come from thence, right? It's really was set up in the spirit. We weren't meant to, as a people, enjoy the good things of this world. It's a spiritual thing, and that goes back into the curses, because the Lord ruleth in the kingdom of men. Ultimately, it was for us to suffer in this side of the world, just like in the kingdom it's going to be for Esau to suffer, and it's a spiritual thing that can't be broken. Like, even if we wanted to, we couldn't make Esau live a good life in the kingdom, because it's not set up in the spirit for it to be that way. They're going to have to catch hell. They're going to be under them curses, because it's a spiritual judgment, just like we were under spiritual judgment, and Esau and his wicked self was part of that. Okay. But that's the point I want to make on that. You see that playing out, that even in America, Jake really represents the poor more than Esau does, and that's why this whole snap thing and the Section 8, it sticks to Jake, even though there's Edomites on it. Okay, but like I said, they like to put a focus on the snap and all this welfare, which with snap and Section 8 doesn't enrich Jake. It allows Jake to survive. Corporate benefit doesn't allow these Edomites to survive. Corporate welfare enriches these Edomites. Elon Musk is a beneficiary of corporate welfare, which has enriched him. It's not allowed him to survive. And then these corporations, they take the corporate welfare and they don't pass on that welfare to their employees. So a lot of the employees of these corporations, even though they're working, end up on welfare. It's nasty work. So let's see how this works. Let's break it down. All right, because we're dealing with a real devil, an oppressor. And the thing is, man, what he'll try and do is try and make it look like, oh no, but everything's equal. The system's designed that if you work hard enough, you're and all this stuff. It's all bullshit. The system is designed to break the poor down mentally. The system is designed to keep the poor uneducated, to keep the poor in a self-destructive mindset, and it's also designed financially to make it difficult for them to elevate themselves. All right, the system is weaponized against us in so many ways. Now, does that mean that there isn't a portion of our people that can have some upward mobility? Of course, but it's not designed for everyone to have that upward mobility. It's not possible. The system is against that. The system doesn't want everyone to come off benefits and be working and to be self-sufficient. That's not, no, the system doesn't call for that. All right. But that's if you listen to these right wingers, that's what they'll make it. They'll make it look like there's nothing wrong with the system. There's nothing working against the people. It's just you. Okay, cool. We'll see, because it's gonna get harder, and even these right wingers are gonna find out that the system is against you. They want to break you. Anyway, let's break down corporate welfare in America. And this is in America, this is in Britain, this is in France. The government works with these corporations to redistribute wealth to the elite. This is a fact, okay? It says what it is, where it comes from, and how it operates across different sectors. Corporate welfare refers to government support, subsidies, tax breaks, or benefits given to corporations. Now, these things in the media are going to be looked at as good. They're going to get positive what's it called? They're going to get positive public relations. People will see this as a good thing, but then the SNAP benefits, these people are just low lives. They don't want to work. There's nothing good about giving them money. Even though they take those SNAP benefits and it goes straight back into the economy, and they're not enriching themselves. They're not buying mansions with SNAP benefits, are they? But anyway, often justified as promoting economic growth, which anytime anyone gets money is promoting economic growth, isn't it not? Even SNAP benefits promotes economic growth. But you see, they'll say promoting economic growth when it comes to the corporate welfare, but they won't make that argument when it comes to SNAP benefits, even though these people are going to take the SNAP benefits and go to the stores. You see? It says job creation or innovation. Critics argue it's unequal treatment that favors large corporations over small businesses and taxpayers. And that's another thing. The system is designed to favor the large NWO corporations over the mom and pops. That's why mom and pops, beginning with C19, they're being destroyed. And it's these small businesses that really the middle class is made from. As these small businesses are being destroyed, you see the middle class is being destroyed. And that's what the tariffs and all that is designed to work against. Same thing with the seating, because the big businesses can take certain losses that small businesses can't, because they're juiced in with the NWO. All right, and they're gonna get swallowed up. All right, look at that. Look at agriculture. Look at all the different industries. You just got big megalithic corporations that are getting more and more market share. But anyway, critics argue it's unequal treatment that favors large corporations over small businesses and taxpayers. Main forms of corporate welfare, we're just going to run through it. Direct subsidies. All right, so that's cash payments and grants to corporations. All right, tax breaks. So they don't pay no tax. All right, you get that. Bailouts. So these men do some gambling, they lose a bag of money, and the taxpayer bails them out. Taxpayer ain't gonna bail you out though. You see what I'm saying? These man, they'll bankrupt these banks on purpose, take the money and run away with it, and then you now have to come and make these banks whole. That was the financial crisis, right? And all of this stuff is done by design, it's done on purpose, right? And they enrich themselves, right, through these bailouts. Government contracts, right? Large defense and tech companies often rely heavily on government contracts, like your boy Elon, right? They get these big government contracts, and so that's how they're enriching themselves, right? Defense, tech, all right. Infrastructure and local incentives. State and local governments offer tax abatements, free land and infrastructure to attract corporations. You see? Example, Amazon HQ2 was offered over 3 billion in incentives by New York and Virginia, right? And that's all good, right? Because it's not the poor, right? But the SNAP benefits, like, no, like, them people don't deserve nothing. They just don't want to work. When there's a lot of people that's working and they're on SNAP benefits, because guess what? They're not getting a living wage. All right, let's run through this quick. Economic and social impact. All right. So the supporters say encourage investment and innovation, keeps companies and jobs in the US, promotes sector vital to national interest. The problem is that these companies they take this money, and yes, they hire people, but the ultimate goal of these corporations is to get rid of people. So you got all these big corporations, they're basically running a campaign to reduce their staff as much as possible now. But they're still getting the corporate welfare. Do you see how the game works? All right, critics say it distorts markets, picks winners, crowds out small businesses, shifts tax burdens onto individuals, encourages corruption and lobbying. Right, the scale of corporate welfare. All right, exact numbers vary by estimate. Cato Institute, libertarian think tank, 100 to 150 billion per year in federal corporate welfare. So that's not a small amount of money. All right, but they're not going to demonize that money. But the SNAP benefits will be demonized because it's ghetto and it's associated with Jake. All right, Good Jobs First watchdog group, including state local incentives, total could exceed 250 billion. Right, and the majority of that money is going to find its way to the elite. It says, meanwhile, social welfare programs like SNAP, Medicaid are often scrutinized more heavily, despite being more transparent. You see that this is what the media does, because it's easy to point the finger at the poor man. The system doesn't want to point the finger because the system, they run the system. All right, key sectors receiving corporate welfare: agriculture, energy, finance, defense, and tech. All right. Underlying drivers: lobbying power. Corporations spend over 4 billion annually on lobbying, aka bribes. All right. The congregation hypocrite. Yeah. And the tabernacles of bribery. All right, revolving door, movement of officials between government and corporate positions. In the government, you see all these people in government are business people. They're part of the business world, and they rotate between politics and the business world. They're all part of the same gang, just like the Federal Reserve. The guys that are in the Federal Reserve rotate between the big banks. It's a joke. All right, really, the private sector, when you're talking about the elite private sector and government, is one and the same, and that's what people don't realize, but they're gonna come to find out, and that's why fascism is coming back in a big way. The merger of the state and the corporate, because it already has been merged. It was just unofficial. All right, possible reform. Ain't gonna make that one. Right. So how do billionaires benefit? Excellent question. Because corporate welfare doesn't just help corporation; it often funnels up to the billionaire class that owns, invests in, or leads those companies. Here's a clear breakdown of how billionaires benefit from corporate welfare in the U.S. All right. So here's some examples, like Elon Musk, the techno Jesus, the techno messiah. All right, he's a patriot, but he's from South Africa. Make that make sense. All these right wingers, Elon Musk free speech. He's a patriot. How's he a patriot when he's from South Africa? Thought you man didn't like foreigners. Anyway, it's a joke thing. Tesla, SpaceX, Solar City have together receives over 5 billion in state and federal subsidies and contracts for EV credits, rocket launches, and solar programs. These subsidies helped Tesla survive early losses and made Musk one of the world's richest people. Of course, because these CEOs are frontmen. Don't believe nothing they tell you about them. They're fabricated characters that they push out there on the TV to make you think one thing. I'm a self-made, but no, self-made. There isn't not one self-made billionaire on the planet. All these billionaires that you see on TV are fabricated individuals that are set up for you to look at. Like behind the scenes, they've been put into place, and there's other people working behind the scenes making these NWO corporations run. People think Elon Musk is flipping Tony Stark like he's inventing things. He ain't inventing a damn thing. Neither has he come up with anything. These companies that he have were important to the NWO infrastructure, and they had to have a flipping figurehead there to face it, and he was chosen. Right? So don't believe all the hype. Oh, like he's in the office. He's in the office 7 days a week. He doesn't sleep and all this. But do you believe all that stuff? If you listen, man, gotta stop believing all the bullshit that Esau puts out on the TV. You really think this dude's just hanging around, not sleeping? Oh yeah, he doesn't. He sleeps in the office. Give me a break, please, please. Anyway, Jeff Bezos, Amazon, has received hundreds of millions in local tax incentives for warehouses and HQ2, and they're making all these profits. And go ask these Amazon workers how much they're getting paid. You understand? They're making all these crazy profits, right? So why can't they pay their staff, man? It's a joke. But they're getting all this welfare. But many of their staff have to be on welfare because they're not getting paid enough. Right? Warren Buffett, okay, blah, blah, blah. Via the tax code, the tax system itself often advantages the ultra wealthy. Of course it would. Corporate welfare, tax deductions, depreciation rules, R&D credits keeps profits high and taxable income low. Now, what they'll do, they'll say, well, look, if you look at it, the rich pay more taxes than the poor. That's not the point. They're also earning way more. So disproportionately, they're basically paying nothing. And that's why they're getting richer. You donut? They should be paying more. That's the whole point. That's why they're getting richer. All right, the taxes is making them richer, and the taxes is making the poor people poorer. It's proportional. It says when companies pay less tax, shareholders, often billionaires, get a larger slice of the profit. Capital gains advantage, billionaires mostly earn from stocks and not salaries. Capital gains are taxed at 20%, much lower than the top income rates, 37%. Yeah, they don't rely on wage slavery, on wages. The middle class, some of the people in the middle class, they get wages. The elites don't rely on wages. Okay, and that's the difference between when you're a human resource and when you own human resource and own land and assets, right? In this society, the poor, the only thing you are is a human resource, so that you live off salaries, and that's why you can get taxed the way you do. Corporate subsidies that raise stock prices mean government policy indirectly inflates billionaire wealth, which is then lightly taxed, right? So they devalue the currency. It benefits the owners of assets as well. Also, when they print money, the closer you are to the proximity of where money is being printed, the more you benefit as well. What's that called again? I forgot. Then it's a something effect, Candeline effect or something like that. But basically, they know that when they print money and they give it to themselves first at that low interest, they benefit from it more. That's why they consistently print the damn money. But anyway, pass to entities and offshore havens. Billionaires use LLCs, trusts, and offshore accounts to defer or avoid taxes, often legal under corporate friendly rules. And then even if they get caught, like Mark Rich got caught, he can get a presidential pardon for the biggest tax fraud in American history, and he just got a pardon from Bill Clinton on the last day of his office. So there you go. Throughout bailouts and too big to fail systems, we already mentioned that earlier. So when a crisis hits, big corporations are saved, but small businesses aren't. That protection preserves billionaire wealth tied up in the major firms. Through government contracts and privatization, billionaire-owned firms often get lucrative government contracts or benefit when public services are privatized. All right. And it goes on and on and on. And you could do your research as well. The outcome: corporate subsidies boost profits and stock prices, tax breaks lower tax burden, bailouts prevent losses, contracts guarantee income streams, local incentives, free land, tax breaks, blah, 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 blah. The bottom line is corporate welfare doesn't trickle down, it flows up. It creates a system where billionaires socialize risk, taxpayers cover losses, and privatize reward. They keep the profits. You see? Right? That's happening right now in the UK. They privatized all of the water companies. They took the water companies, didn't invest no money back into them, took all the profits, and then now the water companies are basically in the mud, right? They're gonna nationalize them. So now you've nationalized them, then the public have to take on all that debt, yeah. And all these guys that took all them millions over the years, they just ride off into the sunset. That's how the game goes, rinse and repeat. Okay, that's a game they play all over the world. The privatization and then nationalization and then privatize again, then nationalize again. And who wins in that? Again, the elites. They get richer. Um so I said, how does this compare to SNAP benefits in scale? Let's just get straight to the summary. Uh, so it is very similar. 119 billion for SNAP benefits. Corporate welfare is 150 to 250 billion. All right. So the US spends at least as much or likely far more subsidizing corporations as it does feeding struggling families. And again, a lot of these struggling families work for these same corporations. Yeah. Corporate aid is less transparent, blah, 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 often doesn't require performance proof. SNAP recipients face strict eligibility rules, work requirements, and stigma. Yeah, they get a stigma. Right? Perspective: SNAP's average household benefit is $500 a month. Amazon, Boeing, and ExxonMobil have each received hundreds of millions to billions in tax incentives and subsidies, often for years. Right. The irony: the SNAP is constantly debated and sometimes cut over budget concerns, while corporate subsidies face little scrutiny, even though they often don't create promised jobs, inflate billionaires' wealth, and sometimes fund companies that avoid paying federal tax entirely. And I asked it about the living wage. Let's get that real quick. Then we're gonna get into more of these scriptures. But this is just to show you, man. This is what they don't educate the people on. Excellent question, and honestly, this gets to the heart of the hypocrisy, the congregation and hypocrites, man, around corporate welfare in America. The short answer is no. Most major U.S. corporations that receive large government subsidies or tax breaks do not provide a living wage to all employees. What is a living wage? Living wage, minimum wage, is the income needed to meet basic needs: food, housing, healthcare, transportation, without public assistance. According to MIT's living wage calculator, a single adult with no kids needs $18 an hour nationally, higher in the cities. A single parent with one child needs $33 to cover essentials, yet the federal minimum wage remains 7.25, unchanged since 2019. So the system is all by design, because there's a lot of people that are working that's on these benefits, and this is by design. But these corporations get help, but they're not taking that money and paying it to the employees. So is the money's going to the billionaires? It says corporate welfare versus worker pay. Many of the biggest corporate welfare recipients pay wages that force employees to rely on government aid, including SNAP, Medicaid, and housing assistance. Subsidies: $4 billion in state and local tax breaks for warehouse and HQ2. Wages: average warehouse pays $17 to $20 an hour, barely a living wage in most metro areas. Reality: tens of thousands of Amazon employees have been on SNAP in the states like Pennsylvania, Ohio, and Arizona. Result: taxpayers effectively subsidize both the company and its workers' basic needs. You see what I'm saying? McDonald's subsidies the fast food industry benefits from low wages subsidized by public assistance. Wages: many crew members can earn $10 to $13 an hour, below living wage standards almost everywhere. A 2013 UC Berkeley study found that 52% of fast food workers relied on public assistance. Medicaid, SNAP. Estimated taxpayer costs $7 billion a year in welfare for fast food workers alone. Right? And then it goes on and on. I mean, I'm not going to read all this. We'll be here all day. Walmart, same thing. The airlines, same thing. The oil and the energy companies, same thing. This is the irony. The corporate welfare is often justified as job creation or economic development tool, but in practice, many of those jobs don't pay enough to live on without public aid. So taxpayers subsidize both. the corporation through tax breaks, and the workers through social programs like SNAP and Medicaid. Right? That's effectively double welfare for corporations. They externalize labor costs to the public. You see? So the billionaires can make more profit. Most large subsidized corporations do not pay living wages. Many of their employees rely on taxpayer funded benefits to survive. Corporate welfare often amplifies inequality, enriching executives and shareholders while socializing the cost of poverty wages. In essence, taxpayers are underwriting both billionaire profits and worker poverty. You see what I'm saying? But you see, the whole big thing about Snap now is the demon. Oh, see, these people are just black people and they're thieves, and but the system is designed to be this way. But you don't see them demonizing these corporations. They're not demonizing Amazon. They're not demonizing McDonald's. They're not demonizing none of them. They're not demonizing Elon Musk. He's a welfare recipient because it's deemed that he has more value because he's rich. See, Esau will make it look like he's been so kind to the poor. He hasn't, man. He hasn't. He's created a system that has the poor in a survival situation. And he makes it look like he's taking care of the poor. He's not. Who he's really taking care of is the elite. And that's why they're getting richer. This is a bullshit system. It's an oppressive system by design. Right? Because they don't follow the economic planning of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. Their entire system is simply designed to enrich the rich and impoverish the poor and keep them that way. Keep the weak weak and make the strong stronger. That's how it is. Right? Job 20 and 18, it says, that which he labored for shall he restore and shall not swallow it down. Right? Because all they do is devour the poor. Right? And they take your labor. Right? And shall not swallow it down. According to his substance shall the restitution be, and he shall not rejoice therein, because he have oppressed and have forsaken the poor. Right? The poor is forsaken, man. You think that the welfare system, is a system that they do out the kindness of their heart? No, they're just keeping these people alive as human resources. They're not really trying to help these people or allow them to get on their own 2 feet. The system's not designed for that. Otherwise, they'll create a system where people actually would own their own land and be able to do their own production. But guess what? In a system like that, then the elites wouldn't monopolize everything and they wouldn't be as rich as they are. In order to have a system where you got 1% having 90% of the wealth, how do you think a system like that is created? These people could still be filthy rich, without everyone else being impoverished. They want it to be like that. They want it to be like that. They could still be rich without people being on that level. They could be rich without people needing welfare. You understand this? They could have a system where they could still be rich and have all the luxuries they want, but people wouldn't have to be surviving on welfare and all this stuff. They want the system to be like this. It's an oppressive system. And then they turn around and make it look like they're doing you a favor. It's a joke. No, they're doing themselves a favor, as I've already shown you. Right? Because you have oppressed and forsaken the poor, because you have violently taken away an house which he buildeth not. All right? Right, this is James 5:1. It says, go to now, ye rich men, weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you. Your riches are corrupted. Yeah, the riches of these elites is literally through a oppressive and wicked and demonic system of financial shenanigans. That's what these men have done. And people are acting like, the way they want to make the world look is like all these guys that are billionaires and trillionaires have gotten that money because they're just so honest and they work so hard. That's a lie. They're where they are because they rig shit. They lie, they steal. Skullduggery is what has them in the position that they're in. And they work against people and they undermine people. Right? They're really the worthless individuals, man. They're scum. They're lowlifes. But they're not seen as lowlifes. But if you're on SNAP benefit, you're a lowlife, right? Because you happen to be at the bottom of this nasty demonic kingdom, you're a lowlife. But these guys are not lowlifes. They're lowlives of the highest order. That's why they're up there. Because this is a wicked world. And the scripture tells you these are the ungodly that prosper in the world. Right? You think Trump made all that money he got by doing the right thing? No, he's a demon. And he had friends, demonic friends that helped him. Right? And they avoided taxes and got contracts and all these different things to get where they are. Then they write all these damn stupid books and all these damn things, and you go buy the damn seminars thinking you gonna make yourself into a billionaire if you do what The Rock says. You gotta get up at 4 a.m. and all this bullshit. That's all bullshit, man. There's only so far you're gonna get in this world. These men that's at the top didn't do it by no way that they're gonna write in a damn book and tell you about. These men are gangsters. They operate like a mafia. They're insiders. And if you ain't on the inside, there's only so far you're going to get. You think you're going to make yourself into a billionaire because you read some damn get-rich book? The secrets of how to get rich. And no. Now, is there certain application you can apply yourself and you could get yourself some money in this world? Time and chance happeneth to all men by applying discipline and intelligence and of this. No, of course. But what they're trying to make it look like is that you're going to be Elon Musk. No, you're not. You're not. You're absolutely not. Because that's not how they got there. None of them got to the position they're in because of some damn get-rich book that they tell, because if you wake up early in the morning and do this and all that stuff and you iron your t-shirt this way, you're going to become a billionaire. No. You become a billionaire by being an agent to the elites, and they put you in position, and you serve your masters well, and they will reward you with a nice little position, destroying the goy. All right? Anyway, your riches are corrupted, and your garments are moth-eaten. Your gold and silver is cankered, and the rust of them shall be a witness against you, and shall eat your flesh as it were fire. Ye have heaped treasure together for the last days, and they truly have. And I'm not just talking about the FRNs. That I'm talking about they have assets. These Edomites have assets, and they're planning on gathering all that. They said you will own nothing, so they want all the assets to themselves. They want all of it to themselves. Behold, the hire of the laborers which have reaped down your fields, which ye have kept back by fraud. Everything's fraud. Even the money they're paying you in wages, right? They themselves print it and give it to themselves and devalue your wages. This is why you got the situation going on in America where you're praising this idiot Donald Trump. Meanwhile, the dollar's being devalued and he's telling you it's a good thing. And you morons are sitting there clapping going, yeah, it's a good thing for the dollar to be devalued. How can it be a good thing for you? You rely on wages. So how is your wages being devalued a good thing? You don't have billions of dollars where it doesn't matter. If you're a trillionaire, it doesn't matter as the dollar's being devalued, because not only are you making bare money on interest and stealing money left, right, and center, and the money that's being printed is coming to you first. So it doesn't matter to you. But if you're on a monthly wage, your wage is being devalued, it fucking matters, man. That's why you're hurting. Ooh, you goofy. Donald Trump. You know, I'm gonna do it. We need to bring down the value of the dollar. Are you retarded? In what world is that better for you? But you see, like this is the madness that we got to deal with. So now you're clapping that your currency is being devalued. How retarded can you be? And that's what I said. These left wingers are retarded, but these right wingers are just as retarded. I've never seen nothing like it in my entire life, man. Here it is, you rely on a wage, and man's telling you that your wage is going to be worth less, and that's a good thing. These people are out of their damn mind. The system's already cooked anyway. All right. Behold, the hire of the laborers who have reaped down your fields, which is of you kept back by fraud, crieth, and the cries of them which have reaped are entered into the ears of the Lord of the Sabaoth, man. Right? The taxation system is designed to hold the poor down. It's not holding you know who it holds down a lot to? The middle class. The middle class taxes hold back the middle class from growing it bigger than they are. But you know who gets to go around all that? The elite. Because they control the system and they control everything. The middle class, man, like for instance, like once you earn over like 40 something K in the UK, they start charging you 40%. You can't get around that. You're cooked. So it's the more you're earning, you 50K, 60K, 70K, 80K, you're getting taxed to hell. So it's the depreciate what's it called? It's diminished returns. These super elites don't have no diminished returns. They're going and going and going like the Easter Bunny. This place is cooked, man. It's a joke. It's an absolute joke, man. And they try to gaslight people and make it look like everything's the individual's fault. No, it's by design. But that's not to say that sometimes people's own mindset works against them. But even that is by design. Hell with this place, man. Shalom.